And we are live. Hey, what is up, folks? Thank you for joining me for this very special stream, which it's not surprising. I'm not surprised about it. I'm sure Crow isn't, but I can't speak for Crow.
Wait, what about me?
I said, I'm sure you're not surprised about this information either, right? What has been revealed within the last, 48 plus hours? Wait, what day are we in right now? What is it? Within the last 48 hours? Because I think it was on Saturday where these tweets were made, if I'm not mistaken. Crumb could correct me if I'm wrong.
It has been a flurry of action in like the past 3 days. This hasn't been insane.
Yeah,
I think it's Saturday. I think Saturday was the bombshell that Lindsay Lovridge dropped.
Yeah, and that was somewhat unexpected. I will say, because that's this one of the last people that I would have expected to put something like that out there, especially given their track record on not just hers but ANN's, but hers. She has, I know she's written some pieces on people that haven't been too favorable herself. But it was interesting to see her stance on it. Just kind of like, I was basically contacted to essentially bury the story, to retract it. I didn't see that coming at all. And now she's saying something along the lines of she's not sure who to trust anymore regarding this stuff. And there was, we'll get into that. Actually, maybe that's where we should start. Maybe we should start from her tweet. So for those of you that have been watching the last few streams, I've talked about the Damon Mills situation. For those of you that are new about, I guess we could do a brief summary on what happened here. And I guess if I get anything wrong, Crumb, I guess you can go ahead and
I can clarify a little bit.
You clarify. So my understanding of the Damon Mills situation, obviously Damon Mills, voice actor for Funimation, most prominently, I guess, the voice of Frieza in Dragon Ball Super, or the second voice of Frieza, because I believe the original voice actor passed away sometime recently. So Damon Mills took over that role. Been, from my understanding, biggest role that Damon has had to date, I guess, or at least most prominent.
One of the more prominent ones, yeah.
Yeah. So Damon Mills had some accusations of some no stuff come out against him regarding a young man who identified himself as Duncan, who had reached out to Lindsay Lovridge from ANN to tell his story. And no sooner did he go public that it almost immediately went away. It lasted maybe all of a week or two before he retracted and decided that I guess it wasn't worth whatever potential headache was coming down the line. So I know I'm summarizing a lot. What the main accusations are against Damon Mills is obviously the allegations of potential grooming and molestation.
I think the most damning of the allegations that were included in the original, I guess, package that Duncan had sent to Anime News Network. And from what Lindsay was saying in her tweets as well, she had a video call with Duncan as well. So this wasn't just a random nobody behind a computer.
Yeah, faceless.
Sending it. He sent pictures to identify himself. He had a video call with her to identify himself. So I think the most damning evidence, if you put everything into question and what he accused Damon of, was the DMs that he had with Damon. So Duncan and Damon had DMs. I guess it was on Facebook, where Damon was requesting, joking or not, under 18 underage lewd photos from a minor. Like that's probably like the most damning thing. And the other fact that Damon admitted that everything was consensual. So that's,
which we know, and according to the timestamps on those photos, it would show that Damon was obviously he was of adult age, but the person that has identified themselves as Duncan was not, or so they claimed they weren't.
They were between the ages of, my understanding, the earliest was 15 and the latest was 17.
Yeah, which no state that I know of, age of consent is lower than 16 at least, and probably not around the time where this took place either. So
right,
he would not have been able to legally consent to doing any of that or doing anything obviously sexual So, and what's interesting about that, I don't believe, at least as far as I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that Damon Mills himself has not refuted that either, at least not publicly that I've seen.
No.
Nobody
he's admitted that everything that happened was consensual. And we have the statements from the DMs as well, like him requesting to, do things to either Duncan or Brian in their friend group, joking about bad behavior openly on Facebook, things like that. And of course, the gamer words aside that he's used. But there's plenty of things that Daman had stated that were consensual, that were very, very questionable at best. And federally, you're not even allowed to request explicit photos of somebody under 18. So that's another question. I'm not a lawyer on that, but that's probably the most damning out of everything.
Yeah, and you have messages like this, which again, I have a few of the screenshots that have been shared around. This is one of them, of course. Don't have the full context of this particular message, but this is just for an example of some of the things, I guess, that he's said in DMs and stuff.
I believe this DM is between Daman and Brian, if people are curious, because I think this was the one that Brian shared.
All right. Yeah, because I didn't know the specifics of this one. That's wild. So we have this. So let me bring up the tweet thread from Lindsay Lovridge. Is that you, Crow? Is that you doing that tapping?
Oh, dude, sorry. I'm playing Elden Ring and I'm facing a giant.
Of course.
Well, look. I mean, my thing is with this situation, the guy's also now claiming that he fabricated it or something. Not Daman, but the accuser.
Duncan, yeah.
Yeah, which to me, I think he's probably saying that just to get out of anything that he's worried about. But it definitely looks bad because now it comes to a situation where he can say it's all made up. He fabricated those messages. This didn't happen, and we were just consensual friends or some stupid shit. I don't fucking know.
No, it doesn't make sense. I mean,
I didn't say that it made sense. Yeah. I'm just saying that this guy has enough where he can obfuscate and confuse people around the issue. My big problem with the idea of this all being made up is, okay, let's say it was, right. This dude had somebody go threaten ANN and say that he was going to kill himself if they didn't take down the story. I mean, bro, if the dude's making it all up, why are you threatening fucking seppuku?
Exactly.
Right? Well, that's what's crazy about it. What's interesting to me is this: you had an. Or at least,
wait.
We'll get into the message.
John, now, just real quick, I want to clarify one final thing there. It wasn't like there was a massive campaign against the guy. His coworkers at Funimation refused to condemn him and just said they barely even know the guy. Right. So there was not some sort of pressure campaign against.
Well, no, well, you needed, remember, you also had people out there saying, oh, we need more information. And it's just but there's way more information to go on than there was with Vic. So why is there?
What
do you need?
That's the difference between the two, right? Vic, the accusation started off with homophobia, I believe, right? Because he didn't want to sign a poster. And then it escalated until his coworkers jumped in and made these outrageous claims and stuff like that, right? There's no company, because I don't know if Funimation exists anymore, but Funimation, Sony, nobody conducted an investigation when these accusations dropped. At least they didn't publicly say they were conducting an investigation or anything of the sort. I'm so this whole thing is completely different. We had co-workers of Vic, right, come out, lots of them, Neil Kaplan, Jamie Marchi, Monica Rial, Amanda Wynn Lee, but I don't even know who else, right? Coming out saying all this stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, not one peep from anybody. I want to get into it later because I don't want to jump all over the place in this.
Yeah.
But I was going to bring up, Monica Rial and Jamie Marchi starting their podcast over this whole lawsuit, right? I don't know.
You know what? I thought the fucking podcast was great because who is it? Mars Girl comes out and goes, "This podcast has nothing to do with the lawsuit." And I'm like, the fucking email is testimony is evidence at gmail.com, but this has nothing to do with the fucking lawsuit. I mean, these people. My thing is these people are just going to lie and be blatantly dishonest.
They're mocking. They're mocking the lawsuit. The website they made is what is it? InTouch.com. We'll be InTouch.com.
Yeah. Like they called their next podcast halftime. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, they did. Like that's what I'm saying. They're mocking the whole thing, right? But like, where are these two people? Where are these two women? These two victims, right? Where there's a victim with these kind of accusations, right? And they're not saying a word. They have a whole podcast dedicated to this lawsuit with Vic Mignogna.
Let me answer that to you real quick. So they're alleging that they don't know him, right? They've never been around him. The same thing with Mars Girl, right? Mars Girl's the same defense. Oh, I've never met Daman before. Like Monica's apparently never met, and apparently the rumor is that he's not close with the Dragon Ball cast. But my counter to that is, how does Ron Toye know about key details about this court case and not court case, the key details about this this particular legal matter that Daman and Duncan were involved in, and how does Monica know that? Because Ron only knows through Monica, because no one's telling Ron anything.
Yeah.
But there has to be close, right? They have to be at least close with each other to discuss that information.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, he is just a little fucking weasel. So
he is.
But like at the same time, I'm like, what happened to
just
believing
be like weaseling around trying to figure out this stuff for himself?
Like their email, their email is like, what is it? Testimony is evidence.
Yeah.
Like, where is that? This accuser has come out and like nobody's even like listening to this person. They don't have his back like they did for the Vix. You know what? It's whatever. No. I think you guys get where I'm coming from.
Him.
I'm with you.
Well, exactly. Yeah. That's the interesting thing. Like we have this, right? Hold on, let me show this real quick. Zombie, thank you so much for the 25. Oh boy, big company possibly covering up predators allegations allegedly. Got to throw the streamer word allegedly. Yeah, we got to always. But
you know what to do.
Let's put this shit. So this is that tweet, that infamous tweet from Damon Mills, who is all about that, right? Yep. Talking about believing victims, right? You see it here. Many voices have been echoing a pressing issue, and this needs a strong, united front. I believe survivors. It takes a tremendous level of courage to speak openly about SA and trauma. Please support victims. Don't dismiss their stories. There's truth to be heard.
Except mine.
Exactly. That's funny how that always works, right? It's just like, hey, believe everybody until they accuse me.
Exactly.
It's always believe everyone until they accuse me. And what's interesting, I kind of compared this a little bit to the Eric Esquivel situation, the guy who was working for DC Vertigo, making that really racist comic called Border Town.
Yeah.
Remember he was one of these allies, believe all women types as well, right? And then what was funny is that he got accused of bad behavior. But you know what? To his credit, I will give him this, because he said when the girl came out and accused him, which he promptly ended up, like losing his job, his book got canceled and all that stuff. At least he kind of fell on his sword. He's like, well, if she said that happened, we got to believe her. So he actually fell on that sword. So I'll give him that at least.
Well, didn't that person Emmett also do that? The one who's constantly tweeting about Vic being like a predator or some crazy stuff like that.
Did too.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, he had accusations come out against him too, I believe.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, where's the proof?" He's like, "No, I totally did it. I was most definitely like being really annoying and creepy or something like that." I don't know. That's weird.
See, but look at this, right? What he followed up with, right? And statements like these are exactly, I guess, the person deleted there, so we don't know what that said. But and statements like these are exactly why Preds get away with their actions and why the voice of R and A victims fall on deaf ears. With as many stories that are being told, even if one is true, that's far too many.
Oh boy.
Yeah, what the hell?
That age like milk.
Yeah, right. Oh, thanks. Oh, we got Stan joining us. What's up, buddy?
Hello, everybody.
How you
doing? You here, Stan?
Welcome. Yeah, Stan's a friend. He's a friend.
Stan, what do you think about everything? What do you think about everything going on with the Damon Mills thing?
Oh, from all the latest stuff that Crumb has dug up, particularly with Lindsay Lovridge saying that she sat on it for 5 months, that's the most damning stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're going to get into all of that. But this is, here are the tweets, right? And she knew people would archive them. And of course I did, because I always archive stuff. So This is Lindsay Loveridge's tweet. He says, "Hi, this is the only thing I'm going to say about recent Mills articles because it bothers me enough that I have trouble sleeping. This will probably be screenshot and archived. During the week of the retraction and then subsequent admission of fabrication, a voice actor and ADR director attempted to get A&N to take our articles." So I guess you meant to say our articles down. "The person stated that if we didn't, Mills may commit seppuku, and we would have to write about that." You know, it's interesting, right? That somebody, an ADR from like I said it before, from Funimation, they were so concerned about Damon Mills potentially offering himself, but Vic didn't get the same kind of courtesy. There was nobody there that was worried about that.
Nobody cared.
Yeah, dude, not only that, but they were using out of context photos that even the individuals in those photos cleared up, and it was like not retracted or corrected or anything.
Oh, they had to pull teeth to get them to retract it.
Yeah. It was wild. Like, these people were like using these photos and they were like, he's inappropriate. And I'm just like, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry
for my outburst.
No, to add to your point, that's what I'm saying. The whole situation with Vic, right? There hasn't ever been, you would think, right? In the almost supposed nearly 20 years that supposedly he was doing stuff, right? You would think there would be at least a damning picture, a text message, an email, a video. Because I mean, there's plenty of videos out there, but nothing out there is like super damning, and it's all stuff in situations that they've tried to portray as something that they're not. You've had people come and say, like the one video, I think it was the one girl that had Vic say the coffee line and stuff like that. "Oh, look, this girl, this, that, or the other," and she was like, "Hey, I was 20 years old at the time that was done, and I wanted him to do that." Like, she had to come out and say, like, "You're trying to spin the video and making it something worse than what it was. Number one, I was of age. Number two, what I mean, everything that I asked for was because of me."
You also had individuals like Shane Holmberg saying that he knew Vic was crazy this whole time, and like conventions knew, and they just had to like stay quiet because they were afraid.
A load of horse crap.
Yeah, see, that's the bull. Yeah, that's the kind of bullshit. To me, like, if right. That makes no sense to me as somebody, Crumb has worked on the convention scene or has helped run conventions and stuff before. And Stan obviously had his own conventions. I've staffed on conventions before, and I know, like I said, and this is one of the first things me and Stan talked about back then. But I remember that we talked about this, Stan, that obviously if we knew that there was a guest doing something bad, we're not going to fucking risk the integrity of the show to cover for them.
No, heck no. We'd be the first ones calling the police.
Yeah. There's no way. There's just no way.
If it was AWA, the police would be just a walkie-talkie button push away. And that's what happened with Greg Ayers at our show. The only time he attended AWA, some girl accused him of raping her and got on the radio, called the police, because I can't do anything about it. I can bring the police to the alleged victim, but I can't do it for her. She's got to have to. And she recanted her story after a couple of minutes with the police.
Yeah.
See, but that's what I mean. It's just like all those kind of situations are always going to be taken seriously. That's what I mean. It's just like nobody that has any kind of integrity or honesty is going to risk the reputation of their show to be like, "Oh, well, let's just cover it up or let's just ignore it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they want to stay in business, they're going to do something about it if they care about their business. That's what I mean. Like, I don't believe any of these people at conventions that say, "Oh, we knew he was up to that the entire time, but we just never said anything." Okay, well, it sounds like you're the fucking problem then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because who else is, if you did it for him, right? If it's true, what you're saying is true and you did it for him, who the fuck else did you do it for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many people are you fucking covering for?
Well, and where are the leagues of people here that are apparently like shadow hand for Vic Mignogna, right? Where are the leagues and leagues of loyal followers here in the industry, in the VA industry, in the con industry, that are throwing threats out and bullying small conventions and threatening to pull sponsorships and threatening Hero if Vic isn't this or that, right? That's what they're making it sound like, but we're seeing that here with Damon. Like,
yeah,
this is the ridiculousness that we're seeing here.
Yeah, it is wild. And you see here's the follow-up tweet to that, right? Where she says, the day of retraction, Duncan was doxxed, and if the screenshot is authentic, the person that did so probably already knew who he was, or at the very least shared a mutual friend with him on Facebook. Then she goes on to say, I can say with certainty that the legal communications between Duncan Mills and his lawyers were shared within the industry. The ADR director / VA had information about those communications that would only be gained by reading them. This includes Duncan's emails. That's wild, right? So he essentially, if we're to believe what she's saying here, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, Damon Mills went to his ADR and showed him everything. On top of giving him the sob story, like, oh my gosh, you got to help me. You got to do something. So go ahead.
No, nothing, man. It's irritating because, like, I'm just saying, like, there's so much charitability or courtesy given to Damon Mills, and I really don't understand why. And then the excuse of, like, oh, we don't know him well. I'm like, he's a fellow professional. He's in the same field as you guys. You know what I mean?
I think the explanation is pretty easy to understand here, right? Damon Mills doesn't fucking matter to any of these people. Vic Mignogna, they actually hated.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like I don't know. I strive for consistency for stuff like this. That's all.
I mean, this is consistent, though. I mean, this is them being 100% consistent, right? If it's someone that they dislike, that they've talked shit about for actual years, right? Mm-hmm. If there's something that they can do to destroy that person's life, they'll fucking do it, right? Mm-hmm. And they won't bat a fucking eye at it, right? But then when they hear a story about how a 15-year-old was being molested by their fucking coworker and they're reading the fucking messages, they just go, oh, that doesn't matter to me. Damon's a cool guy. Damon actually put out a very positive tweet about our sexual assault story. So let's just, guys, can we just not talk about Damon? I like Damon. Damon got me a soda one time, and he didn't even ask me to pay him back.
He didn't even ask me if I wanted one.
Me a soda. Yeah, Nick's never even asked me if I wanted a soda.
He didn't even ask me if I wanted it. He just got it for me. Isn't that the sweetest? I don't know.
He invited me to be a part of his his project. And he was directing, and I'm so happy.
Because he's
if we're being honest, this is like just the most consistent that these motherfuckers are ever going to be. Absolutely. If you're on their side, if they like you, they will defend you. It doesn't matter if you literally raped a child. They don't give a shit about that.
Well, no, of course not. As long as you, at least for the most part, you espouse the same kind of values that they do publicly, that's enough, right?
Exactly.
So that's enough to give a pass. It's like, well, he does. I do kind of agree with him on everything else. Not this thing that he might have done, but you know what? Let's just look past that, because for the most part, the opinions he has are ones that I also share. So
no, you see, he put in the work. Right, he's changed. That was 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's changed now.
Yep. Always rules for thee.
You read a book.
Oh my God. So we'll continue out here. So this is, I know his email was shared because Duncan asked me if I had shared it. Of course I had not. It is possible, but not provable outside of it being shared by Duncan, that he got the same communications A&N did about removing articles. That doing so could result in a seppuku. The letter stating the allegations were fabricated came a few days after the retraction and was again worded in a way in hopes we would take the articles down. So for the industry members and others who were pursuing that end, that's not how journalism works. In the time since my publisher took over A&N, we have only taken down 2 articles in 20 years. This is interesting what she said here, right? For industry members and others who are pursuing that end, right? It makes me wonder if there was anybody else aside from this ADR that might have hit her up, or at least somebody close to her up, right? Somebody
already
at A&N.
know. You already know there is 100%.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what I see there. I mean, she's kind of letting it all hang out with saying that. So she says, when George Takei was accused and then his accuser recanted, those articles were not taken down. They were updated. Same with Kevin Spacey. History doesn't cease to exist when the story changes. listen, I hate that a very toxic contingent of the internet jumped on this, and I knew that would happen the moment the document came into my box in November. At that time, it was also sent to Sony and others. Interesting, right? Where's their investigation for that, right? I wonder if they even did one. I wonder if they made their little phone calls, because you remember Vic's investigation, that seems to be what all it was relegated to, right? It's making a couple phone calls and saying, oh yeah, you sound believable. That's
you already know they
people.
didn't, because he got a role. He got more roles since.
Yeah.
There'd be absolutely no way they did an investigation.
No, I don't think they did either. And I think they would have been a little more transparent, just like they were with Vic. You know?
Oh yeah, they basically put it out on social media. You know what I mean? That what they were doing, what their actions were.
Yep.
Hold on, let me get this super chat. Thank you so much, GG Evans, for the 20. I love how this works. When it's one of us, they take it as gospel. When it's one of them, they start doing their best Sergeant Schultz impression. I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning. I know nothing. So it says there, I attempted to prep Duncan for this the best that I could, and moving forward, I don't know that I'll head articles like this in the future, because I do not think I can adequately protect sources, specifically because of third-party interference on two ends. The direct interference by right. The direct interference by industry members is especially unfortunate because it feeds into a larger toxic narrative. So does the admission of fabrication. Frankly, I don't trust a large number of people anymore, but I do trust my gut. I was often able to helm these articles because I don't have allegiance to anyone outside of my own integrity, and regardless of what others may think, I still have that. Have a good weekend.
Jesus, like, who is Damon Mills? They went out of their way. like, what is this?
I right makes maybe he had dirt on the ADR.
I think the thing is, you know, for him, he probably does have dirt on some of them. I mean, he's not
thinking too.
He's got the role of Frieza. He's not a nobody, right? And if that's his biggest role, he probably got it because he knows somebody in the industry.
Bro, what if he has like fucking group chats with like lying about the Kick Vic thing? You know, what if he can expose that shit so everyone's like, no, we can't let him sink. You know, otherwise he's gonna snitch out all of us. He goes down, we all go down. That's the group pact. You know, like what if?
Literally, that's people are jumping in front of buses right now to save him.
I don't know if it's necessarily that, but more or less it could be just something where they had a chat together and they were like, you
get the gist. He was saying some heinous shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they're probably saying some fucked up stuff in the chat, and it's just like, well, you know, guys, we don't really want him saying that to people.
Dude, I'm telling Wesley Snipes didn't even have this much defense, dude. Like, what the fuck? Who is Damon Mills? Like, I don't fucking know. He's Frieza sometimes. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think he's the second Funimation VA to voice Frieza, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, fantastic. I could be wrong about that. You know, because the last person, I believe, what he passed, I think like last year or the year before or something like that. Yeah, he passed semi-recently. But she says here, addendum, it's entirely possible that this situation would have ended the same way, but we'll never truly know due to the active attempts at interference, and that's what pisses me off. Oh my God, it's not Chris Sabat at the end there. But yeah, see, it's crazy, right? That even
Crow,
somebody,
that's
right?
you, isn't it?
Huh?
Crow, that's you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Oh no! I'm gonna die. I decided to challenge an entire army, and I have no clue why I would do that.
That sounds like my daily life on Twitter.
I've heard that controller on another person's show.
Hey, look, I can't ask them for a controller. They got me Elden Ring.
See, so my thing with this, right? This whole thing, right? This is the craziest part, right? Because Lindsay Lovridge and ANN in general would be people that obviously, you know, with, you know, if for all intents and purposes would align at least, you know, politically, socially, however, you know, view wise with a lot of these people. But even she was like, hey, you know, this is kind of messed up that this happened. You know what I mean? And this is my side of the story of what happened. She's putting it out there for everyone to see.
Well, it's not like she's an industry professional. She's a fucking online journo, right? Yeah, so this was her big fucking story. This is her big fucking moment. You know, I should say, like, honestly, You know, you can always rely on these people's fucking vanity more than any other trait, right? More than anything else. You can always rely on them to be the most vain people possible. So I don't think this woman gave a shit. Like, I don't think any of these people in this industry. I think that to them, if somebody's fucking a kid, they're just like, yeah, whatever, it's a Tuesday. I think that's how they see it, right? So and you know, maybe I shouldn't be putting in the worst character attributes to these people, but like they fucking deserve it. So I don't feel that sorry for her. But you know, you've got her who's got this fucking story that she was forced to sit on. They're fucking literally threatening suicide.
Well, they're trying to emotionally blackmail her to take it down, essentially.
And she's sitting there going, but this is my big moment. And now she's like fucking mad about it. Like, I don't feel bad for her.
I don't feel bad for her at all. I just think it's funny. You know what I mean?
I think it's great.
Of all people is the one that's putting it out there.
Because this is what she thinks the industry is, right? She's going to fucking put out a sexual assault allegation against a voice actor who's voicing a popular character. That's how she's seeing this right now. The industry doesn't see it that way. The industry's sitting there going like, well, Funimation's being folded into Crunchyroll. We're about to be the big fucking boys now. We can't have a fucking sexual assault allegation. Exactly. Not after Vic. Not after we made such a public fucking spectacle. We can't even keep the Funimation name.
Dude, they did have another scandal. The guy was just a nobody, you know. He was that one guy in the Discords, and I was like, I'm a Funimation voice actor.
I'm just saying, this is before this whole thing with Sony like started to go like really kick into gear. I honestly, no joke, I highly doubt that they wanted to go for the fucking Crunchyroll name, even though it's a bigger industry, because Crunchyroll, I mean, has a history of being a fucking anime pirating group. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's how it started.
Funimation's like a legitimate business, even though they're, you know, shitty people. I highly doubt that they want to, you know, make their official name for their anime streaming service the name of a fucking pirate group, right? Yeah. But I think that that's better to them than being named after a fucking toxic ass company that keeps having people outed. I mean, it doesn't matter whether or not you believe the allegations against Vic Mignogna, Damon Mills, or any of the people.
It's just the bad publicity surrounding it, yeah.
And these dumbasses blew it up and made it way fucking bigger than it ever needed to be. I'm talking about the Vic Mignogna situation, right? If they wanted to fire the guy internally, they could have just done that, right?
Yeah,
they could have
just like not done anything with him.
Yeah, they could just stop hiring him. But
guys, they took a jelly bean story seriously and conducted an investigation around it. Crow, what's wrong with your dog? What's wrong with your dog, bro?
Jasmine's just getting home from practice. So he's
goodness gracious. Dogs, video games, like shit.
I shut the door, okay? Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I can't even play fucking Elden Ring right now.
John's too polite. I would have been like, mute your shit. And when you're ready to talk, unmute.
Man, I was having so much fun. Like, you know, I hit level 20 and I just realized that you can hold the katana with both hands.
Ay, que lindo. Okay, that's cool. Let's show you what else.
All right, so getting back to this here. Now, Crumb has actually been in contact with somebody at Funimation that has given them a little bit of inside baseball regarding some of the treatment of how things kind of work, that part of Funimation. Now, I'm going to share on screen here. This is a screenshot from that person. Obviously, you know, it's being shown this way to protect their.
It's redacted.
Their you know,
properly redacted, unlike
Lindsay. To protect them. So I believe they're still. They're still actively working with Funimation.
Yes.
So
my understanding. So just to let folks know that are viewing this right now, I have shared with John details beyond this to validate that I'm not just pulling this out of my ass.
Yes, this is legit. I can confirm that this is a legit communication from a person that does work at Funimation. So, this was your message, right, to them, right? This top one.
Yeah. So we had a conversation back in December, and we hadn't really talked since the end of December. And then I looped back around yesterday, to like last night. I guess it was yesterday morning, just to inquire if he'd heard anything, because I'd racking my brain like how many people know about this freaking communication. So I'm like, the only person I know that I actually have a good source in Funimation that's currently there sent a message off to this person and asked, and they got back to me. So this was their response.
So, Ria here says, so it's been a minute since we've last chatted. I do want to reach out to inquiries because there's been a lot of rumbling around recent news regarding Damon Mills. Wanted to ask if there was anyone that you're aware of that was sharing the details or discussing what was going on. And this person's response was, the guy's a creep who got caught and has the whole of LGBTQ behind him to keep him safe by pressuring his accusers to stop. Pretty much it. Not a shock from all I've seen. And yeah, I mean, this is part of the way that there's people trying to spin it, right? That basically, people are just going after Damon Mills because they're Islamophobes and stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody was saying, nobody was looking at what was being said, and the fact that Damon Mills, like I said, at least that I know of publicly, wasn't refuting anything that was said. As a matter of fact, apparently I'd even said that the stuff was consensual. So obviously not even denying it, because I would think at least if he were going out there and just categorically denying everything, saying, hey, look, these messages aren't real. Screenshots can be fake. I deny all of this, that this is not true. This has not happened. I'm seeking legal counsel to handle this situation. I'm not going to speak about it anymore, but I categorically deny all this. These are false, and I'm going to prove it. None of that. It was just, well, hey, look, I got a lawyer, but everything that happened between me and this person, we consented to, and that was it. No denial.
That wasn't even just entirely the issue, but whatever.
Yep. You shouldn't have opened the first salvo with that admission.
No, and that's
just deny it, and then and just end it right there, and then send off his legal message.
Think about it. The accuser has now redacted, said everything's fabricated. How can that be if Damon Mills already acknowledged it?
Exactly.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. It's just like, if he was smart, he would have been like, hey, look, I deny all of this stuff, and I'm gonna seek an attorney. To handle this, and that would have left it up in the air for people. Like, okay, well, we don't know if now it's just a matter of, it's this guy's word, and Damon Mills is saying, hey, he denies that this all happened, so who knows what the truth is now, right? And again, we don't know exactly what the truth is, right? We can only put together from what's been put out there publicly. We can kind of come to our own conclusion based on that, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good for Damon Mills.
Two parties have corroborated the same instance. I think we could take the word of Damon Mills when he's like, it was all consensual. You know what I mean? That means an instance did happen.
Yeah, didn't skip a beat. Yeah.
And that was the first knee-jerk reaction that he had, was to say, "Oh no, it was all consensual."
Yeah. It happened because we both wanted it. It's just like, it's not how it works.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's not how it works. So, Chrome had sent me this, and I wanted to view this video online because I thought, it'd be interesting to kind of go over this as well.
Oh boy.
You sent me this. Yeah, you sent me this video of a person that allegedly knows Damon personally.
Allegedly was friends with Damon and knows Brian and was a part of that friend group.
Okay, and who's Brian?
Brian was mentioned in the ANN article as another source for information.
Oh yeah, that was the friend of Duncan, right? That I
friend
guess
of Duncan, yeah.
The one where he was sending, I think, the DM saying like, "Hey, send me the video or whatever of Duncan."
Exactly.
Let me show that screenshot real quick, just for reference.
Damon was in the friend group with Duncan, with Brian, with a whole bunch of other people. They were all friends. They all knew each other, and Damon would regularly be joking about lewd acts and requesting lewd acts, and apparently in Brian's side of things was like requesting Brian to send like nude photos and stuff of Duncan on blah 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 blah. Whereas the person on the video clearly states that he's not part of that he's not part of that connection. He's not part of the LGBT connection of that. So he was never part of the sexy talks.
Yeah. So we have here, this is one of those messages that I believe was sent to Brian from Damon, right? It is where it says, why the F is your picture? That's blurred out, by the way. To which he responds, "That's from the vid, and he's hot. I'd really like to see this video. God damn it." And he says, "Sorry." He's like, "No, show me, show me, show me." And then he just keeps spamming, "Show me."
Yeah.
Which
Not
I believe
creepy at all.
Yeah, that's so now we have this video, which we'll watch now, which is a plea to Damon Mills, tell your story, from the guy that allegedly knows him and Brian, I believe. Right?
He'll explain it on the video
right.
who he is.
So let's watch this here.
So I wanted to make this video because I've done some thinking about it, and I've seen some additional updates on the subject matter at hand. And this is a video about my experience knowing Damon Mills. I knew Damon Mills from the years of 2008 to 2015. I was actually involved in the fan dubbing group that is mentioned in the original allegation article on the news network, on the Anime News Network.
Interesting.
I was involved in that community and met Damon through our enjoyment of fan dubbing and voice acting different animes and other properties. It was all for fun, and this wasn't, it was just a hobby. But there were several people in that community, and we had Skype groups, and we talked amongst ourselves, group conversations sometimes.
So just real quick, this is all before Funimation, right?
If my understanding was Damon got into Funimation at the tail end of the friendship with Duncan.
Okay.
So this fan dubbing group was likely before Funimation. Okay. I think he got into Funimation 2015, 2016, if I recall correctly.
All right, just wanted to clarify.
And speak to people more individually. It was a place where people organized project ideas, and we wrote scripts and things like that. So there was a lot of collaboration on this group. There was a guy by the name of Brian in one of the news articles, and if it's the same Brian that I knew that Brian from that community. The things I don't know having to do with Damon and any sort of romantic or sexual interest, because I am not in the LGBTQ plus community. I identify as a straight person. Damon is in that community, and it seems like there was a subgroup in the fan dubbing community of people in that group potentially looking for romantic interest as well, which, look, we were all I started when I was 17 or hang on. 16.
So pause 16, for a second.
I got there's go ahead.
Because the time frame he's giving, 2008 to 2015, right? Mm-hmm. If he's talking about romantic blah blah blah, that would have placed Damon in the age range of 17 to 19, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he would have been getting involved if this was the case. I don't know how young people were, but or when they got in there, but we're talking about like under 16s that he would be getting involved with at that point.
Yeah. And if they stayed in that group long after, again, like I said, Duncan was, allegedly, Duncan was, 15 at the time, being a part of that group. So this would have been some years probably. I mean, from what it sounds like he's talking about a time right before maybe some of this stuff occurred, right?
It sounds well, because we don't know the context, right? Yeah. We only know the tail end. The DMs that Duncan shared were as early as 2013 and ended in 2015, if I recall correctly. So we don't know, because they were talking well before that. We have no idea what the lead up was. We have no idea what the contextual relationship was, if there was one. We have no idea. Duncan won't talk about it. Duncan won't come out and share his side of it. Damon is clear that he's not talking about it. So we don't know how long they were talking for. So this could have very well been.
He could have been even younger. Yeah,
could have been even younger, and he could have been involved Like this could have been going on when this fan dubbing thing was going on too.
So yeah, there could be a potential for even more people, more interactions like this, not just with Daman and Duncan, but others.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a situation that Crow and Wright covered, I think last year, the year before on their channel, Pyro Cynical situation, a little bit with the group or the Discord server that he was a part of. But we won't sidetrack off that right now.
Yeah, it's a long story.
Yeah, it's a long story. So we'll just get back to the video here.
I think Daman, or 17, and Daman was like 15 at the time. And we met and actually became quite acquainted in terms of talking over Skype and interacting over Skype. I want to preface this video by saying this. I am making this video to add my experiences and accounts with Daman before he was ever a voice actor. I knew him in the time that he lived in Hawaii. Allegedly, that's what he told me, and what he told me about his life at the time. And I want to share a little bit of that today because at the very least, it gets out there. Daman and I got along because we both voiced the character Cell in this community, but his was the best, copy or take on the official one, and his voice was so good compared to it you wouldn't even tell the difference. I spoke to Daman personally. We would meet up maybe like after school, we would chat, and he'd tell me about like how his day was going. Like I was in high school, I was entering college at the time, and he was I think he was still going to high school, and I believe he lived I'm not going to say where in Hawaii he lived. I'm going to keep that anonymous. I'm not going to talk about that. No. But the article mentioned Hawaii, so let's just leave it at he lived in Hawaii.
Most likely was.
Daman reported to me on several occasions when he was growing up in high school that he had a very bad situation at home. Very bad. Situations where he had to leave the house for his own safety.
Okay.
Again, I do not know all the details, but Daman would sometimes tell me like he was like using McDonald's Wi-Fi because he could not return home at the moment. He had to get out of there. He had a terrible upbringing. He didn't have a lot of money and had to get the hell out of there. And it was hell. So this guy had a terrible life. I will let Daman say more about what made it so terrible. That's not my place. Daman, I want you to tell your story to the public. And I also want you to address what happened. And if the allegations are true, what happened, it is in your vested interest to commit yourself to embettering who you are as a person and involving yourself with victims of abuse.
So I just want to pause right here real quick because I think we kind of get what he's alluding to there.
Yeah.
As far as Damon's concerned, he won't tell the story, but I think it's fairly obvious. Could be wrong, but yeah. To the point of I think somebody said in chat, sad backstory to excuse his behavior. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be an excuse. I mean, it would. Look, there's nuance to every situation to better understand people, but obviously in a court of law, doesn't matter what you went through if you're an adult and you're making bad choices, especially ones that have potentially criminal consequences. It's not gonna matter. But I think what he's and look, this guy here who's talking, it seems like he's just trying to be compassionate towards Daman. I won't go as far as to say I don't know what this guy's intentions are. If he's trying to excuse anything that Daman did, I don't necessarily think that that's what he's trying to do. I think it's more of people trying to, if Daman does have a past where he was potentially, a victim of SA himself or any kind of, grooming and things like that. That sucks. That obviously, nobody. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody, but I don't see how he makes things better for himself by potentially silencing, bullying somebody else into silence, right?
Well, this is the thing, though. It's common. I'm gonna put on my Ken Jennings hat here for a minute. It's common for especially men, not so much women, but women it does happen in as well, but especially for men who are victims of child abuse, like in that specific way, they then go on to become that themselves. Women do it differently. If they're victims of child abuse, then they generally gravitate and coerce their partners to do that to their children, which is a terrible thing. Yeah. But that's the cycle of abuse, right? It's like alcoholism. It's when you imprint that on a child, that's what the kid, most of the time, not all the time, because you can certainly break the cycle of it, but most of the time, it's undealt with feelings that result in this type of behavior. Yeah. And if this was something that Daman had been struggling with, some demons that he had been fighting, maybe it's something that he's really not proud of, and he's quietly doing this because of whatever else. Doesn't excuse him, doesn't excuse any of the issues or the things that he's done. It's very much, I agree with this individual here. He needs to come out and he needs to take ownership of it, and he needs to break that cycle.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
I don't know if he needs to do it publicly.
Doesn't need to do it publicly, but it would. I mean, he's kind of a public figure now.
Yeah, and it's out there now. I mean, but yeah, at the very least, yeah, exactly. I mean, look, if it's a thing where there's a problem, you need to go get help, right?
Exactly.
In Damon's case, I mean, he could always go, the full 9 yards and, become friends with Mr. Girl or something like that. So
yeah, that's right. That's that's the consensus right here. Yeah.
You become friends with Mr. Girl, I guess, if any.
All right. Well, this is odd timing, but I have to take off. I was going to thank you for having me on. It's not because of what you said. It's not because of what you said. Don't feel
over now.
No. But in all seriousness, though, but I mean, look, I get what this guy's trying to do, and like I said, I don't begrudge him for it. Like I said, and I'm not going to speak to what his motivations are. Obviously, he had, like I said, if anything he's saying is true, and he had some kind of past friendship with Daman, then obviously, he can. I would assume he cares about him to a degree, and he's just trying.
No, then he's a shitty friend. If he's a past friend of Daman like that, and they were close, like I would, dude. If something happened with Crow, I would not make a video. Crow, you need to just tell your fucking truth right now. No, I would. I'd fight this guy. If I was Daman Mills, I'd fight this person. I'd literally what's wrong with you? You know what? Cut him. Cut him. If it came to it, if he tried to justify it to my face, probably. But bro, I would literally be like, "What's your problem, man? What are you doing?" All right.
On that note, I'm dealing with already.
Yeah. On that night, thank you everybody for your patience and tolerance, and have a good night, you beautiful people. Bye.
All right, man. Have a good night, man.
Have a good one.
We'll talk later. All right, so let's continue on here with this. This is pretty interesting.
If the allegations are 100% true, then
you can tell he believes
definitely crossed the line.
Yeah, I think
that's not debatable.
It seems like, yeah.
You also have experience with abuse.
Oh boy,
that people ought to know.
I mean, you pretty much spelled it out right there, right? You left a little bit ambiguous before that, but where it's just like, what does he mean?
Spike the football there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what
how
does
long
he mean?
before he gets a cease and desist?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, apparently, I heard someone sent me the video, and then another person sent me a screenshot saying the video had a takedown, and this is a different video. Like it's the same video, just uploaded somewhere else now.
Wow.
But,
had a takedown request. I
had a
could press it.
takedown
Play?
notice.
I thought I saw on
Immediately.
Kiwi Farms. Ooh, I said Kiwi Farms.
Oh, I can't say that word.
Demonetized. No.
There were 2 videos.
That's interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll try to find that later. But that's interesting. So you said somebody re-upload. So wait, this is not the original channel that it was.
I don't know if it is. This is the link that I got, but someone said to me that the original got a takedown notice like immediately.
Okay.
So
interesting. Was I mean the person? Well, so they said new demon. I mean that could be just a cut and paste, but yeah, that's interesting if that's the case. I wonder, like Stan said, I wonder if he'll get a cease and desist.
Not let this legacy of yours be one where there's nothing redeemable about you as a person. You cannot lean on that, and you should not lean on that. At the very least, you should encourage people who have been abused, figure out ways that you can support that effort, and share your story. Not for clout, and not to make your reputation better, but because there are lessons to be learned. I wanted to make this video, and it might not be seen by you or anybody, but I'm going to make it anyway. Because I talked to you one-on-one for several years, and I learned, allegedly, about some pretty bad things going on at home. And I'm not going to say the details, because that is your story to tell. But I plead with you, tell your story and involve yourself with, if you need counseling or therapy, do it. If you need to embed yourself through some community engagement or activity, do it. If you hide behind lawyers and act higher than everybody else because you made it, which was your dream all those years ago, and you were trying to get out of that situation and you made it, and now you're just going to forget all the problems and just try to ignore it, you're only going to damage yourself even further. I hope that you, Damon, look at this situation and do what you can to help somebody out there who's going through abuse instead of shielding away with lawyers, if that's all you end up doing. And if these allegations, by the way, are legitimately overblown, and that there was legal consent in terms of, I guess, in Ohio, the accuser might have been of consenting age at the time, it doesn't make advancing without permission any better. Legally, it's not as bad. So at the end,
but the thing is with that, right? I would think that if it was an issue of, yes, legal age of consent where this apparently took place, I believe, which is Ohio. That's allegedly the place where this took place. Allegedly, I should say, where this took place. This situation with Damon Mills, that the age of consent was 16 at the time, and I believe still is, if I'm not mistaken. The thing is, though, I would think if it was a situation where, hey, he consented and he was 16 at the time when me and him got involved, I would think that it would have helped them to clarify that, right? But that's another thing too that I think is interesting about all this, is that he just said, hey, what happened between us was consensual, and that's it. I think it would have probably, I mean, again, like what this guy just said, I agree with him. It's just like, yeah, it still doesn't look good, but if it was, that he was, that the guy is like, he's retelling the guy Duncan, right, is retelling the story, but he's not being accurate, right, for any reason, then I would think at least, if it was a thing like, oh, well, what we did, it was consensual, that he would have made it a point to say, hey, Duncan was 16 at the time. He's lying. He was not, 15 when me and him got involved or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It was consensual. Age of consent is 16. I was aware of that back then. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Obviously would still make him look, to some, it's like, well, you're still a creep, but, he didn't even, specify on that I saw. It was just kind of like, hey, we both consented. It's like, well, Duncan's saying that you were messing with him when he was like 15, where he wasn't legally able to do that. So this is when it all began. So I think that's the most crucial point, right, to address. If it was consensual, would be like, well, no, he's lying. He was actually 16 at the time. He's lying about the age to make it seem like I was committing a crime.
That'd be I mean, if you're gonna say that, you know, quote unquote, I did it, you may as well come out with hard facts to say like this was legal, this was like consensual, it's all above board. You know, I was 19, he was 16, blah 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 blah. There was none of that, though.
No, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, I thought he would have, you know, you would think he would make it a point to say that, right? If it was, but all he said was just kind of blanket. Oh, it was consensual. It's just like, you do know he said that he was 15 at the time he started messing with him, which would not have made it, you know, of legal age to consent. So that's wild.
At the end of the day, if you did cross a line that should not have been crossed, you should embetter yourself. And you should try to teach others about the consequences of your actions and how you can better yourself as a person. And that starts with you bettering yourself as a person. And we all make mistakes in this world. We all have problems. It's what we leave behind that counts. And I have the unique experience to have known you for several years. And what I understood was a very unfortunate situation for you. Make a statement, Damon. Address what happened. And do something right. For you and the world.
You know, it'd been funny if the guy had gone like full mask off and been like, either you do something or I will. At the very end, he's just like, it's all nice up until that last point. It's like, you know what? Fuck this. You know what? You do something or I will. So I'm going to show all the old Skype messages. I still got them.
Like that doesn't sound like someone who believes that nothing happened, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I mean, the guy, it's at least... Yeah, he seems to believe, you know, he didn't say that, but, you know, he probably does believe that, hey, look, this probably did happen, but there's a reason why, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you know, I'm sure the guy is not going to, he's probably going to be like, whoever else might potentially involved with this situation. I doubt that he would probably speak to anybody publicly about it, because if he considers himself a friend of Damon, or at least a former friend of Damon's, I don't think he's, or maybe he might be interested in talking to people publicly about it, but he's probably not going to want to like involve himself in any kind of, which again, this is not, nobody's attempting, you know, at least I don't look at this as, you know, I'm not trying to cancel the guy or anything like that. It's just talking about the situation and pointing out the double standard and hypocrisy that Funimation or anybody within, you know, the entertainment industry seems to have when it comes to who's accused of what and when.
Well, and the fact that there's been this huge rug sweep from Sony, from Funimation, from the actor, like the voice actors and directors in Funimation that are surrounding Damon right now.
Yeah,
like there was another one ADR directly involved with Daman, who is also gay, apparently. That is one of Damon's go-to ADRs that has been flagrantly and openly and very gleefully defending Daman on Twitter.
Do you think that might have been the same ADR that contacted ANN? I mean, we could only really speculate. Obviously,
we can only speculate, but
you know,
it's very interesting. It's all very, very interesting.
No, it is, and like you said, how they've gone out of their way to really protect them, and how other people. I mean, because I'm pretty sure. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. I mean, when the whole situation with Vic happened, I know that Damon was one of these people that was publicly, you know, kind of, you know, we saw his tweets earlier, just kind of, you know, virtue signaling about the situation. But he was also one of the people that canceled his appearance at KamehaCon. along with Monica.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't scrubbed the guy's timeline to know if he has interacted with them publicly. I would assume he has with both Monica and Jamie Marchi, right? I think I would assume he's probably tweeted at them and stuff like that, and they've talked about stuff. But I don't know that for a fact. But I would think how he was so on board with, even sharing, I think, the article. I believe I have that too. Hold on, let me see if I can pull that up, because I think he also shared the article.
Yes, he did.
Where, news article, what was it? The Dallas, Texas Morning News or something like that article, which I know I have that as well, saying he was proud of them for, telling their story. Let me see if I could find that. But I know he had also done that. So again, look, I don't know. And
David Wald is the VA / ADR that I was talking about. He was calling people flat earthers.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is typical, right? When you don't agree with somebody, just, accuse something. Yeah, here it is. So he was sharing the article that, that was talking about the whole situation there. And you see him here. It's so ironic now, right? To read this. This was back in 2019. So incredibly proud of these two ladies and everyone else who has stood up to fight this. Never let others tear you down and silence your voice.
Right?
Love you all. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Oh my goodness.
How, here we are 3 years later, and, almost 3 years later, right? Because it's back, September. So, and he says something like that, and then you have a situation where essentially, I mean, again, because we'll never know 100% for certain if what Duncan was saying was true, if or his account of everything was 100% true, but his voice was silenced.
It was,
with legal threats.
legal threats and moral threats, right? Because if he didn't come out and recant or try to get the article taken down,
oh yeah, that's right,
then he was going to have the death of Damon Mills on his conscience, right?
Well, that along with apparently being threatened with his docs, right?
Yeah.
Being coerced with his privacy.
Yes.
Because I think that's what Lindsay Lovridge had also said, is that somebody, they were assuming that somebody that was known possibly mutually on Facebook was threatening to dox him.
Yeah.
But let me make sure. I'm pretty sure that's what Lindsay Lovridge said in her.
Well,
tweet.
and I mentioned this on my podcast Saturday, but
Sunday.
this was a very interesting piece, right? Because the timing of this dox that happened was very interesting, because Duncan was expressing to ANN that he did not want his information out there at all. Lindsay even stated that she, was the recanting of the statement was because he felt like his privacy was threatened. He felt that that he was going to get retribution, or he was going to get like people coming after him.
Yeah.
That. And the only way that someone could have actually doxed him, because let's face it, folks, if some random person, which happened, by the way, I have the screenshots of it, some random person goes on to the fruit farm, that the one that shall not be named.
Yeah.
If someone goes on there, makes a random account and accuses this person of being somebody, there's literally nothing tying Duncan to that thing, period. However, conveniently enough, somebody at Anime News Network just forgot to redact or forgot to delete documents off of their public drive. And that just happened to leak conveniently into the hands of a person that knows his identity.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's a little bit too coincidental for me.
Yeah, it does. See, because, she says it right here. The day of the retraction, Duncan was doxxed, and if the screenshot is authentic, the person that did so probably already knew who he was, or at the very least shared a mutual friend with him on Facebook.
And the only way that they were able to tie him into that was because ANN had his photos still. They didn't delete them off the drive, and ANN didn't redact his name on one of the exchanges. That's the only way they were able to do it.
Yeah. And probably, again, presumably, this presumably, I would think that Lindsay Lovridge wasn't the only one that saw this.
Oh, absolutely not.
Saw this information.
She's just an editor. She doesn't. I doubt she has access to do half of that stuff.
So it could have been, yes, and somebody who has probably even stronger ties to somebody over there. Told them, told this ADR or whoever else what was up. I mean, because again, what she says here, there's no way that this ADR could have known this stuff unless Daman Mills himself said something, which is is possible too, right? Or it could have been somebody from her site that was just that told this ADR.
Well, like she states in her bombshell here, third party interference from both ends.
Yeah, that's crazy. So so possibly even somebody from her own site, which wouldn't be surprising, right? Because that's the thing too with this site, and that's why I really rarely ever mention them by name here on this channel, because I don't like to give them any publicity. I just don't think what they do over there is journalism.
No.
You know what I mean? I think they're a bunch of hacks. This person, this particular person, Lindsay Lovridge, I've seen the pieces that she's written. I know for a fact that she's, reached out to, people I know in the voice acting industry to try to get them to essentially, smear others.
Well, I regularly call them Anime Nonce Network.
Yeah. That's a really good name. But also, it's also what they did to my buddy, Hiro Hey, a couple years ago too. Seriously, if you remember what they did to Hiro, with the whole thing of the fake takedown notice, and then the CEO of the site or the owner of the site was essentially taking a victory lap about it until he realized that Hiro was in the right about the whole situation.
Well, and I agree with Sailor Mercury in the chat. I will say this, because I say a lot of shit about them all the time, and I give Lindsay a lot of shit too. Lindsay is the closest thing that they have to an actual journalist on that site, and like an actual, honest to goodness, pen to paper journalist. She's not quite there. She likes to pat herself on the back and assure that she has integrity. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, Lindsay, if you have a shred of integrity, you would go out and you would blow this out of the water. You wouldn't be sitting behind this freaking little shield that you have here saying, I'm not going to talk about this. I can't sleep at night. You can't sleep at night because you know the fucking truth and you won't tell it.
And she might as well at this point. I mean, look, she's basically saying, like you said, in her own thread here, talking about, not just, the VA side, right? The Funimation side of this, but, alluding to the fact that there's probably people, again, where she works doing the same shit.
Absolutely.
She's just being very vague about it. But I mean, what else is anybody supposed to infer from what she's saying here, right? I mean, now she could have clarified it and said like, oh, and by the way, I don't mean anybody here at ANN, but she didn't do that.
Nope.
So, I would think for somebody that calls himself a journalist, you would want to be thorough. You know what I mean? And making that distinction very clear, or not leaving certain things up to interpretation. Just so that the place you work for doesn't get any more shit either, which they're still going to, obviously.
They're 100% after this,
and rightfully so, I think.
And they're already prepping something else that's just going to give them a second black eye.
Yeah, it's just been one bad thing after another. I mean, and that's the thing. Those are the things that really kind of disgust me about the site. When you see like, it's not just the whole shit. Like I said, with her, but other people on that site too. Like I said, the CEO of the company, what was his name, like Christoph something or other.
whatever his face
yes,
is.
whatever his name is, him, the O'Toole guy who was out there like calling people, the bad guys from WW2, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like,
of course,
just
Mike Toole
living up to his name.
Who I
doing stuff
know
like
personally.
that. Yeah, just
And his
disgusting.
wife.
Unfortunate.
Oh no, Stan.
Yeah, I was friends with them for many years.
Oh, no.
Man, what happened to it? Was he ever cool, or was he, did he just not? Did you just not see who he really was until much later?
I don't spend my my waking life with a lot of folks. I mean, I know them personally. I've interacted with them. Never had any problems with them. Enjoyed their company. And I never saw any of that particular side until, I got onto Twitter.
It's because you touched the gays and you didn't touch him, Stan.
Now, don't get Ken excited.
I feel like I jumped in at the worst time of that conversation.
Jumped at the perfect time.
The fuck you mean?
We were talking about Mike Toole.
Sure.
That guy.
Inappropriate.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Crumb, you shared another video here that we can look at real quick. Now, does this also? All right, this is the same guy from
I
before.
think Stan found that one.
Oh, this is.
I found that one. It came before the one that you showed, so it's
okay.
irrelevant.
Was he alluding to Damon Mills in this video? Is that?
Yeah, he's talking about Damon Mills. But
okay, so
Cyclone here with a very
he was vague. He was being vague.
He's just being very vague. Okay,
being very vague.
So it's interesting, right? I'll assume.
Well, that is him then.
Yeah, the Cyclone channel is him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's made more than one post about this. So
yeah, this is his first one.
Interesting. All right, let's see what he has to say here.
Someone I once knew that is concerning, and I'm not going to say who the individual is.
So wait, this was on the 15th.
And the other one was the 21st, I think.
And the other, okay, it's a few days after that. So this is roughly around the time, not long after that news broke about Damon Mills.
Exactly.
Wait, who is Cyclone then?
I assume it's this guy. I mean, I don't know his name. I don't think he has said his name. You missed the previous video, but I guess he's a guy. The Cyclone is a person that claims to have known Damon Mills before Damon Mills was famous, back when they were part of these Skype groups and these fan dub groups.
A plea to Damon Mills, tell your story.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. That one, like he basically says that he knew Damon Mills before Damon Mills was famous. They were friends.
They had some very graphic, close discussions about Damon's past.
Yeah, he claims that Damon had had expressed to him back then, some of his home life, which apparently, he experienced some traumatic abuse situations. The guy didn't go into details, but I think it's pretty, I think we could kind of speculate on what it is, what he's referring to, but he was imploring Damon to essentially come forward and tell his story, I guess, so that people could kind of understand. I don't think he was necessarily like trying to excuse him, but just to kind of like put out there and to just take accountability for the situation if it's true, which I think the guy makes it seem like he believes that it's true based on what he quote unquote knows about Damon Mills from the past, from knowing him back then.
That's what I was getting off of it.
Yeah. So the same. Yeah. So here's the video, I guess, that preceded that.
Is it on YouTube anymore, or even we haven't spoken in several years? I knew this individual online, and I knew this individual during my high school and college years, and he was a couple years younger than me. I knew, at least from what I discussed with this person online, that their upbringing life, their life at home at the time was pretty terrible. They had a very rough time at home.
Okay, so we know Yates.
There was an abusive parent at home, and there was a very unstable upbringing at home. And this person was trying to make their way in the entertainment business.
I mean, process of elimination, right?
Admirable. You have a very hard life at home, and you're trying to find a way, well, not only to escape this prison, this hell, but to find your calling, to find your purpose. And I knew this person during the time that they were finding themselves and figuring out how to get out in this world, and that process, getting themselves out there. I remember talking to this person online and hearing about some of the big, updates and like some of the accomplishments. And this person actually did get signed and is in the entertainment business and actually has a career. I haven't talked to this person in several years. We kind of lost touch. But when I learned about this, I just thought I had to say something and just put it out there. Again, I'm not going to say who this person is. They are related to the nerd culture, I guess you could say. And we were pretty, buddy online. I mean, we got along very well. And,
I don't know. I get the feeling that this guy's going to keep talking. Because you see from this video to the one that you had linked before, he went from, I'm not going to say who it is, in the next video he says who it is.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, he had 2 videos in between that were completely unrelated to any of this stuff. I looked at his channel.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I think that it'll keep escalating a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Daman, I gave you time, and now I'm going to tell everybody everything, He's just going to let it all out. Like I said,
that would be unfortunate.
Again,
interesting to see, like I said. And again, we don't know if this guy knows it from. That's what he's saying.
But we did have conversations about what was going on in their lives. Whether or not everything was true in those conversations, who knows? Who knows? But what I want to say is, when you know or have seen somebody and you think you know their character, and then some news comes out, some allegations, and then you're like, wait a minute, what the hell is this? That's not the same person. You don't know. And I also don't know the details of the story being true or not. I don't know what side it's what. It sounds like there was some sort of settlement between the two. And look, I'm just putting this out there. I hope that ultimately this leads to peace. Peace of mind, peace of spirit. I don't know the full details. I just learned of this a couple minutes ago. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm just going to put this out there. When you hope that people in this world find peace. Peace is so important, and mental health is so important. It's important to be able to talk to somebody about how you feel and about what's going on. Mental health is a huge concern out in the world today. I hope that anyone out there who's struggling at home or has a problem gets somebody to talk to. Get help. Don't hide from it. Don't hold it in. If you have a problem, you have a mental anguish or a strain, and you think, oh, I'll just tough it out, talk to somebody if that's possible. Talk to a friend even. Talk to a family member. Talk to somebody. If you keep it in here, it's going to eat you alive. I talk to somebody. I see somebody. I've seen someone for a while. It just helps me get through the week. And if there's any sort of developments or updates or whatever life throws at you, whatever this individual, whatever happened with this person and the world, I just want to tell them, I hope that this leads to peace and a betterment of your mind and soul. Whatever happened, I don't know the full truth, but I hope that the outcome is a better way forward, whether that's repairing yourself or whether that's, breaking bread with the accuser. I hope this leads to a better future. And that's it. I just wanted to say this because this could happen to anybody. You might know somebody or think you know somebody, and then you hear something terrible. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize that. And this person, if you're watching, you know, we as long as we were talking honestly, like, I knew you went through some shit growing up. I know it wasn't easy. I hope you find a way forward. I hope you find peace and heal. Whatever it takes, whether you have to make amends or commit to in bettering yourself, find somebody to talk to. Don't linger on the negatives. The negatives will eat you away. The habits, the desires will eat you away. Alcoholism is a terrible thing. I'm not saying this is an alcohol-related issue. I'm saying these sorts of issues can easily manifest in regular people. So just wishing for the best moving forward and that we can have peace.
And notice how it sounds totally different from the second video. His demeanor.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's only a matter of time before he might just blow the whistle entirely. If he did, like I said, if he really did know,
I would escalate,
and actually has some insight into the guy. Because it went from that, like, I'm not gonna name the guy, and then the very next video, like a couple days later, named the guy. Yeah, it was Damon Mills that I knew back then. You know, but I'm not gonna say what his abuse.
Later. Yeah. So a lot had happened in 6 days.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. I think that if for whatever reason, if somehow, some way, I mean, it gets back to Damon Mills and he tries to silence the guy, because that's the other thing too. I don't think, you know, I would think that if the guy, like, if he tries to get silenced, which I don't think he will, because if he does know something and you know, Damon Mills doesn't want him to talk, I would assume, you know, probably the better way to deal with a guy like that would be, you know, deal with him diplomatically instead of trying to shut him up.
Well, you would hope, but you know, he's not shy to cease and desist, apparently. So
no, apparently not. And that's the thing. I'm wondering if he has more than one channel. If the video was taken down, if that's true, right? That there was already some takedown notice on the video. I heard on the channel. Yeah. So, because that seems to be his channel right there. Is that Cyclone one?
It might have been that somebody else uploaded it and he
Mira
struck that. I have no idea, but
or maybe the guy himself did. Yeah, because you know, because looking at his channel, it looks like this is his channel. There's more than one video on here where he's, you know, uploading stuff. I'm looking through his video library, so this is his channel. So maybe it was either a mirror upload of the video, or you know, maybe he struck it. Who knows?
No idea.
Yeah. Well, it's archived, so if he decides to take it down, it's
internet's forever too. That's the thing.
Hey, John, do you have the archive link for that one?
I did. I put it in our private chat here. So
no, that was an archive to.
Was it one of the tweets?
It was an archive to Damon Mills in 2019.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. I'll
which, I mean, it's good. I need that too. But...
Yeah, I got you, bro. I got you, man. So,
which archives do you need? Because I think I still have them on my history.
Oh, just the one with her tweets. Yeah, the thread. She had me blocked on Twitter. I was like, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know who this one was, and I was blocked, and I was surprised. I was shocked.
Stacy Dillman says, "Where the fuck was this kind of compassion when it came to Vic? Nowhere to be found. You know, because he ideologically he doesn't align.
Bad.
You know, he doesn't align, and that's another thing too. That's another thing that
he once said a positive thing about Trump. I think we should emasculate him.
Well, not just that. Apparently, that's the culture over there at Funimation, though. Apparently,
it is,
at least according to the VA you spoke with, right, Crumb? That said that essentially some people are cast into roles that they're not comfortable playing, just because they want to like mess with them. You know,
let me clarify: Christian actors, openly Christians, and conservatives are cast into hentai roles because they find it funny, apparently, to do that.
Which is interesting, right? Because if the shoe, and we discussed this, Crumb, you know, if the shoe were on the other foot, I don't think that they would be okay with somebody trying to force them into a role that they wouldn't want to play, or that they wouldn't be, you know, that they wouldn't be comfortable with, or would have some kind of moral conflict with doing. So it's just, you know, I think what needs to happen is, you know, by and large, I know that there's
Funimation needs to get shut down. Well,
I mean,
have some
it's already
good
being
news
folded
for
into
you.
Crunchyroll. It's already being folded into Crunchyroll. So there you go. But aside from that, I think that
hey, I'm so sorry, guys. I gotta go.
Yeah, no, you got your
start
stream.
A minute ago.
Yeah, go ahead, go to your stream. I'll
Go.
leave it here. I'll probably wrap this one up here in a moment. I think what needs to change is I think some people that are, and it sucks. Because I know they feel, I know a lot of them feel that they're probably outnumbered in that industry, and in a lot of cases they are, because the people that have the higher positions usually don't share their views. But I think if they mobilize, I think if they mobilize and they organize, I think after a while, if they get together, they can there could be a change so that there's actually fairness. But I guess that remains to be seen. You know, it really sucks to, you know, see shit like this happen. And like I said, the double standard, the hypocrisy in the situation. I don't think the story's over yet, though. I get the feeling that it's only if this is something that Damon Mills did in the past, I have, you know, and could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if in time somebody else comes forward and says something, right?
Wouldn't shock me at all.
Because you would think that if this is something that this person did so flagrantly before, how do we know it was just with one person, right?
Yep. Another person being outed. Yep.
Yeah. So maybe it's just a matter of time until somebody else, or maybe they won't back down. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he gets away. I don't know. But I think that because it's been put out there, for sure nobody's going to let him forget now. So at least there's that. But I guess we'll just have to wait. I mean, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Crumb, I appreciate you being on, Stan.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Crow, anything you want to plug there, Crumb?
I just my podcast, I guess. Usually every Saturday, unless like there's no news, then I take the time off. But check me out, youtube.com/Crumbrion, #Knuckleheads. Want to check it out? Stan's a regular on the damn show, for Pete's sake. We'll have to get you on sometime, Toy Bounty Hunters.
From time to time, yeah.
So there you go.
We'll need to talk about my ear bleeding.
Yeah, and if you ever want to see me take on the internet, at DarksideEV on Twitter, I fight clowns daily. So
awesome. So, and I'll go ahead and link Crow's streamer, because I think he's starting up here shortly.
Perfect.
But we'll go ahead and link his stream for those of you that want to go and check that out. Right after this, go ahead and give him a raid, show him some love. Appreciate you all. And thank you so much, Gigi Evans and Zombie Fox. You all are the stream daddies. You all have a fantastic night. Also, be on the lookout. There is a preview coming of the next video. So you all have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you on the next stream.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.